ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Roundtable. My name is Robert Bannon. You're listening to us on the Broadway Podcast Network, watching us on Broadway World or over on social media. I'm excited. You know, we've been talking a lot about tours. We've been talking a lot about theater and art and life that is not in New York City. And one of my favorite cities in the entire world is Boston. And there's no city in the entire world that's more attuned with some of the political songs and the political satires and things that are going on in this crazy world than Boston. So you need everybody. You need to come check it out. Our next guest has Grammy Awards galore, started this organization, and he's way too smart and musical and educated to be on this trashy, messy show based in New Jersey. So I'm just going to pretend that I know what I'm talking about, and we're going to talk about the Gershwins and classical music with Gil Rose. Gil Rose, welcome to the Roundtable.
It's great to be here. Thanks.
Thank you so much for being.
That was a great intro.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm excited to have you here because Odyssey Opera and Boston Modern Orchestra Project. Do you call it BMOP?
Yeah, we do.
You have to be a certain kind of crazy yourself to come up with or starting an organization like this in a city as prolific in history and art and culture as Boston. So how did it all start?
Oh, wow. It's been a while. It's the orchestra, Boston Modern Orchestra Project, started in 1996. So that's getting close to 30 years. So Odyssey Opera about 15 years ago, and we do some projects together. And the one we have coming up, is a wild evening of George and Ira Gershwin on steroids, I think.
Which George and Ira Gershwin on steroids sounds like an event that you need to buy a ticket to, and you can get your ticket at bmop.org, and the tickets are less than $100 a ticket for the best seats. You can get a ticket for like $35. So it's a good evening and a good night out and supports art and culture. They have a Pulitzer Prize-winning Of Thee I Sing. It's from 1931. And then there was a sequel in 1933 called Let 'Em Eat Cake, which I did some research. It had a much less of a run.
Yes, it was not their biggest hit. It may have been their biggest flop, actually.
So are there music that we know? Are these songs
there's tunes? Yeah, there's tunes. It's I think the most famous tunes are probably the title tune of the I Sing, and Love is Sweeping the Country is one that outlived the musicals. But they have a bunch of music that people won't know but will love. I mean, the evening is full of toe tappers, and the tunes actually from the first musical reappear in the sequel. It's very much the unified story between the two musicals. So it was a continuation from one story, and then they took a couple years. I think they wanted to have the financial success that they had with the first one, with the second one, and they wanted to keep it going because the first one had just sort of run down, and I think the touring companies were closing up, and they thought, well, let's prime this pump one more time. And they did it, and boy, did they! Yeah, the second one is wild. Basically, starts out as a Gershwin Brothers musical and sort of ends up as a Marx Brothers movie. So it's pretty crazy.
Well, come on, everybody. That means you gotta get a ticket and see it. You have an incredible cast. Can you tell us a little? You have soloists, you have this orchestra, you have the opera chorus. How many people are involved in this?
Oh wow, I didn't. It's probably about. At any one moment, at the maximum, I think it's probably 85 people on stage, something like that.
Wow.
So it's going to be raucous. Yeah, it's going to be raucous.
What is rehearsal like?
Raucous. Well, all these classical players and some of them opera singers, they're like kids in a candy shop with all these tunes. So they're cutting loose. It's fun. It's fun.
In your press release, you talk about it being almost 100 years old, but as relevant as now. Why? What about it strikes? I mean, we're in political climate.
Right. Well, the first musical was a political satire of the I Sing, but not really incendiary. There was a lot of commentary about the politics of the day and corruption and the contradictions that politicians carry with them all the time. But then in the sequel, Let 'Em Eat Cake, they went full bore. The story in the second, well, the story in the first one is about a presidential election, and then in the second one, the guy was elected in the first, musical president Wintergreen. He's unelected. He loses an election and he refuses to accept the results of the election, and he starts a clothing merchandise company to galvanize his followers and raise money. And then they decide they're going to overthrow the government, and then they storm the Capitol, and then they try to execute the vice president. Now, it sounds kind of familiar to me, but yeah, this stuff you can't make it up. When I tell people that, they have the same reaction you're having right now. Seriously.
It sounds like somebody saw this and used that as their
yeah. Well, yeah, it's a little more entertaining in this format than it was in the other one. But, yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and left and right. There's references to things, social politics, equity politics, economic politics. It's all there. 85 years in advance. It's crazy, really.
So we can see this all take place right on stage. Tell us about the venue. I mean, you guys have been in a place. Why is this venue good for this kind of?
Yeah, we do this format fairly annually, where we do what we call a semi-stage opera. So the orchestra's on stage, the chorus is on stage, singers come in and out in costumes, but there's no scenic. So what I've done with the shows to make them be able to do them in one night. They were both originally 3-hour musicals with lots of text, and the books were endless. They just went on and on and on. And we boiled it all down to 2.5 hours. So we cut almost all the dialogue and a fair amount of the music too. So it goes from like number to number to number. Everybody's going to be, especially me, probably exhausted at the end of it.
I'm sure, because you are conducting this monster. BMOP.org. Everyone, get your tickets while we're talking. BMOP.org. What makes a person? This is totally on topic but off topic. What makes a person, in your opinion, say, "I don't want to be a musician. I want to be the boss of the musicians"? Yeah. What is the moment? Does someone ask you? Do you have that desire? Like,
I'm not even sure I've decided yet. The verdict's still out. Yeah, people ask me, when did you decide to be a conductor? And I always answered by saying, I haven't quite decided yet. But I've been doing it for a long time, so I guess I'm stuck with it.
What makes a good conductor? Is it about timing? Is it about motivation? Is it about the knowledge of the music? What is it that makes a conductor?
Yes, all those things, and also knowledge of people, and like how to motivate people, coordinate people. Being a conductor is often very much like being a shrink for about 100 people at the same time. It's just about getting from here to there and having an image, a vision of what you want to bring to the public.
I have a lot of friends who are professional musicians that play in pits on Broadway or play in orchestras, and they say, and I want to get Gil Rose in trouble, but they say that the instruments that people play sometimes tend to their personality. Yeah, do you feel that?
I've heard that. Yeah, and sometimes I can pick out what instrument people play before they divulge what they play.
It's so fascinating to me. So in your orchestra, do people audition, or do you sit in on the auditions? How do you pick the people who get the chairs?
Yeah, I mean, we have a roster of players we've had for 25 years, and new ones come in, and we run auditions every other year and keep it fresh and keep the orchestra playing well. So they're crackerjack. They make my job easy.
If you go to gilroseconductor.com, you can go to Gil's website, and you're a conductor, so I feel like I should call you like Maestro Rose or Mr. Rose, and be very formal. But you can go to his website. Oh, okay, Gil Rose Conductor. I don't want to be disrespectful to the conductor. Gil Rose Conductor. I'm a singer, and singers are the divas, and I would never want to put a bad name on a singer. Like, we are the difficult ones, Gil.
Yeah, well, I've known it to be true a couple times. Yeah.
See, I told you. So when you go on your website, you could see your discography of recorded music, and you have recorded a lot of albums and music. Why is that? We can't all be in Boston. We can't all get there, but your music can be around the world. What is it like when you hear from people who your music or your renditions have
Yeah,
moved?
I heard from somebody the other day. We had a little small private concert with some chamber music, and one of the players in the orchestra played, and he came up to me. He's been in the orchestra maybe 7, 8 years, I think. And he came up to me afterwards, and he played on this little concert. And he came up and he said, I just wanted to tell you, when I was in school, your recordings made a big difference for me. And I thought, wow, did I feel old immediately? But it's true. We play music and record music that nobody else plays or records. So the fact that we do it commercially and then it's available online or for purchase or in libraries, I mean, that helps what we do outlast the moment of the concert, and it gives it more impact, I think. And we hear from people all over the world who, we see our downloads and we had a download in Manchuria, and we're like, no. And yeah, we did. We've had, people all over the world listen to what we do. So it's really gratifying to have that reach.
What is the tie? I read about you. There's a record label tie-in to this. At what point did you decide, like, we need to do more than just a live performance? We need to preserve this music and have it accessible and recorded.
Well, I have the great curse of being an audiophile and a record collector.
Okay.
And I won't even tell you how many CDs and albums I have, because it's not good for my image. But I was always interested in the recorded format, and so when we started, after a couple of years, we started recording, and we were releasing things on other labels. And then after a while, I thought, well, we're doing all the work. We're making the recording, we're raising the money, we're picking the repertoire. We were even picking the cover images. And I thought, we'll just put a UPC code on it ourselves. And now in July, we released our 100th album on our own label. Yeah.
100 albums. And the Grammy Awards and the nominations and things like that. That must be quite a moment to when you started. I mean, this is your baby.
Yeah, it was the first time we got a Grammy nomination. We almost fell off our chairs. So we've had, I think, like 11 now, but it's always it's a scene. Always, I love to go out to the Grammys because, first of all, it's usually the first week of February, so you get to go to LA and get the hell out of Boston,
right,
and leave the snow behind. And it's just a circus. It's a fun 3 days. So I always try to go if I can, if we get nominated.
Well, I'm sure you're going to get nominated, and we want to listen to the music, and we want to make sure we support. And one of the ways you could support is to go to the website and obviously buy tickets if you're in the Boston area, especially for this next performance. And then also you could stream or buy the music and listen to the music. Do you feel, you travel and you do a lot of guest conducting, you speak to a lot of music students, you go to a lot of different symphonies and orchestras and speak around the country. A lot of the times, we have this idea that this kind of music is dying, or that it's struggling, or that the audience is gone. Do you feel that way? Do you feel inspired by the future generations of people who preserve classical music?
I think that, classical music is dying. I mean, to get right to the point, but it's always been dying. It's been dying for 100 years, and it stays alive because it's got something special about it. It's a fine wine. It's a great caviar. It's the cream of the crop, and people who are searching for a really wonderful auditory experience find their way to it. So it'll survive. I think the format by which it survives is affected by media and trends, but it's always paradoxical. Just when you think things are siphoning out of it, there's some new thing that comes along and energizes it. So it'll be all right. It'll be all right.
How can people support? You guys are an organization. Do you rely on donations? Do you rely?
Yeah, we're a charitable organization. We have a charitable mission to present this music. We define it as music within the last 100 years, and people can support by coming to a concert. They can go online, make a donation. They can buy a record. They can reach out to us and tell us, what they heard that moved them, and we'll enter into the conversation. So they should just check us out, I think, is the starting point.
BMOP.org. Go to the website, find out all the information, and you can click on all the links. You you guys, I'm sure, have a litany. How often do you do events? Like, is there certain milestone events that happen every year?
Well, there's, we do between 5 and 8 concerts a year, depending on what's going on. We do residencies, we do collaborative events with other organizations, opera companies and ballets, and we make records. And so there's bigger concerts, there's little concerts. Last year we played Carnegie Hall for the first time. So that was a big moment. And there's, coming out of the pandemic, we've had a lot of big concerts. We did a big concert at Boston Symphony Hall, which is a 2,300 seat venue. And there's stuff coming around the bend, and we've got big projects, and we just keep going. The old Satchel Paige line: "Don't look behind you; somebody might be gaining on you."
And that's I love that line, and I love the idea. At first, I love Boston because it's a tough city. I'm from New Jersey. I live in Detroit. I love a tough city, and Boston. These tough. They're like America.
It is a tough city, yes, in all sorts of ways.
Yes, America's born literally right out of the toughness of Boston. And you doing this show in this time is as prevalent and as relevant as ever. And also to keep the music of the Gershwins alive, which is, some of the great American songbook, the greatest songs of all time.
Well, it's also really great to do like the unknown. I just did an interview earlier for the press today, and the interviewer said, I never heard of these musicals. And the Gershwin brothers are known now for their standards, but also American in Paris or Porgy and Bess. But they must have written 12 to 14 Broadway musicals or more. And that's where they really, made their bones, was as Broadway Tin Pan Alley guys. And these shows were very important to their development. The I Sing was the first musical to ever be acknowledged by the Pulitzer Prize. George didn't win it, but Ira won it for the words. And they're as biting and sometimes as very politically incorrect by our standards today. But they all have, high satire in mind. And they're all making comments about who we are as Americans. And what was true in 1931 seems to be true in 2024.
Absolutely. History repeats itself, and you can get a taste of that right with this evening. Congratulations, what you've done and the undertaking and the success that you've had. If I'm ever in Boston, I'm going to come over and I'm going to drink a Diet Coke out of one of your Grammy Awards.
Sounds good. Yeah. Okay. Bring something better out of a Grammy Award.
Okay. That's fine. All right. I was not trying to be too presumptuous.
Yeah. As very welcome. You wouldn't be the first person to drink something out of it.
I'm sure. See, that's it. That's a bucket list item for me right here. I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for people to see that out. We got to support. I say on this show all the time, because a lot of times we talk to Broadway people, and I say, like, no matter where you live in this country, there's a theater, there's an opera, there's a classical organization, there's a charity organization, a community theater. Somebody's putting on art in their heart and soul, and we got to support keeping that alive across this country and the world. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for what you do.
Everybody get a ticket if you're in Boston, or stream. I was just on the BMOP.org website. They have a lot of music, 100 albums out plus. So make sure you check it out, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.
Sounds good.